So my next activity in the set is going to be in Hotspaces. I'll click on the Hotspaces tab at the top of the toolkit and I'll add my activity. Again, the name here is irrelevant, it doesn't actually show up. So I'll usually just number it again. I'll say HS1 as my first activity. The first thing I need to do is create my background, and the activity I'm going to create here is that the students are going to be dragging groups of objects into either a space that says there's 3 or a space that says there's 5. So I need to count how many objects there are and then place them accordingly. So I'll change this text at the bottom here to say count the groups of objects. And I would add some audio, it's going to be a little more explanatory. They explained in simple language that they were counting the objects and dragging them to the number of the hot space they think it goes to. Okay, so create my background into my notebook page, and I'll probably create a new one of these so I don't, every time I export, I don't export all these previously created backgrounds. So I'll just save this as it is, and then I'll create a new file. Find my backgrounds folder, which is on my desktop. Just find that here. That's my backgrounds. Drag my background into Notebook. Resize, just as before. Lock in place, and then I'm going to start creating my background. So what I usually do for an activity like this, I lay it out where there will be a hot space in each corner, and the objects that need to be dragged around will be in the other 2 corners that are free. So I'll draw myself a space in this corner like this, and then I'll usually select the space. I'll right click to choose clone, and then drag this into this corner so I know they're of the same size, and then I might select them both, go into my properties menu and change the line style to be a bit thinner and make them white, and I'll usually make them slightly transparent so that you can see a bit of the background coming through to reduce some of that glare. So they're the 2 spaces I'm going to use. I obviously need to add the text. So one of these is going to be for a group of 5 objects, and the other one will be for a group of 3 objects. So I'll create the text, and I'll resize these pieces of text so that they're much bigger. Probably to 75 there. I'll leave them as black, and I'll position them into the middle, and I'm going to spin the top one around so that it's facing the back end of the table, and I'll leave the front one at that angle like that. So there's my background created. Just like before, export and using GIMP. So I won't go through those steps and repeat myself. I'll just skip forward to when I've done that. Once I've created my image, I now go back into my toolkit, and I'll choose this option here, which is going to import an image for my background. I'll find the location of where I saved the image, which was in the Counting to 20 folder in Hotspaces, and I'll add this in. Now I actually need to allocate the hot space that I've drawn, so this toolbar here has the different shapes of hot spaces that I might use, and I'll be using the rectangular hot space, and I'll draw a hot space around the area I allocated, and all that's left to do is actually add my groups of objects. Now since they don't exist yet, I'm going to have to create them from scratch. So I'll be going back to Notebook, I'll be adding a new page, and here's where I'll be creating my groups of objects. Okay, so I'll go into my gallery, and I'm going to use the caterpillar object. Now remember, I'm going to have some that are groups of 3 and some that are groups of 5. So I'll drag my caterpillar onto the stage and I'll clone him 3 times. Try as best you can to make the images you use square as possible. It helps with the sizing. So I'm just going to send this character here to the back by right clicking on him, choosing order and send to back, and then I have a group of 3 objects here that I'm going to use. So in order to make this be one image, because at the moment they're 3 separate images and I want to make it one object that's dragged in the toolkit, I'm going to select all of them and I'm going to go to the menu and choose to group them together by selecting grouping, then group, and then I'm going to click on the group, go to edit, choose copy, load up my GIMP program, choose edit, paste as new image, and then I'll follow the directions that I posted previously to actually make this transparent. Now I'll do that here just for the sake of this. I'm going to crop some of the area out so that I get as much of the object as I can in. Use the crop tool, select the area and press return. Now since there's no white in the caterpillars themselves, I'm going to use the select by color tool in GIMP, which I'll select, and then I'll click on the white area. It's bringing up a bit of the white in the caterpillars that I didn't see actually. So I'm going to change that and use my other tool. Go to select and choose none, so it deselects everything. Use the fuzzy select tool, and then I'll click, and this has done a much better job of selecting the blank white area. Go up to my layer option, choose transparency, add alpha channel. With this white area selected, choose edit and cut. Now I have a transparent image. I need to make sure it's within the image size that I recommend. So we're going to have more than 4 images in this activity. So any more than 4 images, make the longest side of your image 150 pixels. If it's less than 4, make the longest side no more than 200 pixels. So I'll go to my image section at the top here, choose scale image, and I'll leave the aspect ratio locked in place because I want to make sure the aspect ratio of the image stays the same. The longest edge is the width, so I'll change this to 150. Click in the height so that it updates. Choose scale. Now my image is ready. I'll choose file, save as. I'll locate the location I want to save it in, which is already selected here. My documents, my pictures count into 20 hot spaces. I'll make sure that I select in the bottom here that I'm saving this as a PNG, and I'll call it cat1. Press save. Now I need to save my image, so I'll go to File, Save As. Brings up this dialog box. Remember to select the file's type, it's very important, and I'll choose PNG. I'll call it cat1. It's saving it to the location I require. Press save. It's going to come up here. Remember to leave this all as default. Press save, and then my image is actually done. There's my image there, ready to be imported. So I'll repeat that process with all of my groups of objects, and then when I'm ready, I'm going to add them to my toolkit. So back to my toolkit, back to my Hot Spaces tab, and this time instead of clicking on the left hand side where I'll be adding a background, I'm actually going to be adding a picture. So I'll go to the Import Image button. I'll find in my pictures the folder where I was saving my images, choose my caterpillar, and then I'll drag it onto the right area. Now you'll see that when I went to drag that caterpillar, I actually drew another hot space. That's because this tool was selected, and anytime you try and move things around, you're going to be adding new hot spaces. Ensure that your cursor is selected, and then you can click on any unwanted hot spaces and click remove. So here's my group of 3 caterpillars. What I need to do now is assign it to a hot space and assign its start position. So here underneath this toolbar I have 2 options to choose: end region or start position. At the moment it's selected on end region. So I'll drag the object to the correct space it's supposed to go in when it's finished, when the answer is complete, and that's in 3. And then start positions I'll select, and I'll put the object in one of these 2 spaces here. So I'll repeat that for all of the objects I've got that I've created inside of Notebook. Okay, so each time you want to add a new object, same as before with the caterpillars, find your location, select the group, add, and just repeat. There's a group of 5 there. Okay, and then again drag these groups of 5 to where they need to go, and the groups of 3 to where they need to go. Go to starting positions, change them up as well, and then continue with the activity as you've done. Add your piece of audio, preview the activity, and your activity is complete.